Hello. Oh, stretchy, stretchy, stretchy. Good morning. Morning, morning, morning. How's everyone doing? Time to make the coffee. Good morning. It was very good. They had a great time. Let's get the coffee made for the peoples. It's sewing day. Yeah, that's exciting. What are you making today, Renee? Before I say how I'm feeling, I want someone to guess how the online concert I watched was. Well, it sounded like you were really enjoying it last night, right? Or no? Is that not true? Thanks for inviting us to your bachelor party. It was a wild time. I know, it was a rager. I can't believe we're all awake without hangovers. Oh, goodness, we're very lucky people. We're very lucky people that we managed to get through all of that. The rest of my day was good. I worked a little, packed a couple orders, did a little bit of editing on my current work, and did some reading. Morning, Jen. Today we're going to read, and then I'll shower and get ready, and then I'll do some writing, hopefully while I wait for Secret Beyonce to get ready, and then we'll go see the kids. Well, actually, we're taking order to the post office first, and then we're going to go take the kids to the Bluey house. Very exciting. Take the kids to the Bluey house. 4 hours and 35 minutes. What's 4 hours and 35 minutes? The concert was? I will obviously take pictures and let you all know how the Bluey house goes, because I know most of you are parental units, meaning wallet stay. I have classic Bluey house. Maybe I need a new wallet. Who knows? Can't wait to hear about the Bluey house. Yeah, it should be fun. The kids are super excited. This will be Ethan's first time doing anything like this ever, because he's only one, so he's never like done stuff yet, you know? We've taken Zoe to other fun things before. Hey, lady. But this is her, like, one of her birthday presents from us. 7 hours. It was 7 hours long. That's too long. I'm sorry, that's too long. That's even longer than Taylor Swift concert. I don't do much for 7 hours. I think the only thing I've ever sat through for 7 hours was, like, both parts of Harry Potter and the Cursed Child when it was in 2 parts, which was good. It was better in 2 parts, I have to say. It was better in 2 parts. When they changed Cursed Child to 1 part, it went downhill, and I don't recommend it any longer. Yeah, I don't know if I've slept for 7 hours, but I think I'd like to someday. Look at that. Coffee. I think tops would be 4 hours. Yeah, that's a really long concert. Who was the concert that would be 7 hours? I slept a little in between. I don't blame you. I mean, like, geez Louise. Guys, coffee's so good. I'll pray for today's not looking good. Wait, why, Brittany? What happened? What happened? Why it not good? That was a weird song. Not my best work. Not my best work. Oh, I'll drive for somebody. That was really funny, Becca. You're right. You are right. BTS was 3 of theirs in 1. That's too many. It's too many concerts in 1. Too many concerts in 1. I can't remember the last time I drove 7 hours. When was the last time I drove 7 hours? Oh, when I drove to see Zoe for her first Christmas from Oregon. Yes. Taylor Swift was an out-of-body experience, but I think I could do 4 hours. Yeah, 4 hours would be good. We're helping someone move your piece of furniture. Oh no. That's not good. It's Dave Matthews Band because I can see it being there. That's funny. I've ridden a car for 14 hours with Kyle because the boy doesn't believe in stops. That's fair. I drove alone from the top of Oregon down to almost the bottom of Southern California during COVID because I didn't want to fly so that I wouldn't have to quarantine before seeing Zoe for Christmas because I didn't have that much time off. I was curious to see if I had the same feelings in music when they first started, and what was the answer? How are we feeling about it? Yeah, Jen, it is, but it was worth it. It was worth every second of it. I couldn't afford the quarantine time, you know? And I wanted to be with her for Christmas. So I did, because I'm the best aunt in the world. Delicious. Delicious and delightful. I drove from Central Florida Keys. When, Becca? Answer, I'm much less obsessed. Well, that's normal as you grow, right? Your hair color is cool. Thank you. Thank you very much. That's very nice of you. My hair color is going to be what it's going to be for a hot minute. Oh man, coffee is so good, you guys. I've ridden 12 hours from Iowa to Texas. Was not fun. I've done the all the way across the country thing also, but like that was different because we stopped a lot. Yeah, when Autumn and I were like 21, we drove clear across the country. We went from Southern California to North Carolina and then back up around to Tennessee. So that's the longest road trip that I've done. But I haven't done anything like that recently because I'm an old lady now. The last time that I said this time it was fine, that's fair. Yeah, I like road trips actually. We treated Scotland kind of like a road trip. We rented a car in Edinburgh and we drove up and around and all around the Isle of Skye. That was really cool. It was really, really good. And we're gonna have a car in Germany, so that's kind of gonna be like a road trip. We're gonna bounce around to a couple different places in Germany. Yeah, it's definitely different if you stop. Yes. We were young when we drove across the country, Autumn and I, though, so it was like a very different time and thing because like when you're 20 or 21, you can almost you can almost do anything, you know what I mean? You can live for hours, you know. Oh, it's so good. Okay, so as we all know, we're taking a little break to read Chris Coffer's memoir because that way we don't end up wait a second, hold on. It's not what I wanted to do. There we go. Oh. We're going to read Chris Coffer's memoir so that we are not in the middle of a tale of magic when I go away. And I think since it's still his, it's kind of like in the same family. So like, why not, right? I know we all wanted to go right into a tale of witchcraft, but I think this is an okay break. And then we'll read a tale of witchcraft and the other one straight through because I ordered both so that we don't have to worry about me not having, I don't remember what the other one's called. It's a tale of witchcraft and then, oh, it doesn't say in this one what the third one's called. I know there's a third one because I bought it, but I can't remember what the third one's called. We'll go straight through those two. Weird. This one only has the two in it. So anyway, this is Chris Coffer's memoir and it's called Stranger Than Fan Fiction. Yesterday I said Stranger Than Fiction, which was incorrect. So let's get into it and see what happens. This is chapter 1, Convention Intervention. I actually don't know very much about Chris other than like we're obsessed with him and his writing, so like this should be interesting. It wasn't WizCon unless someone was trampled. At least that's how the employees at the Santa Clara Convention Center saw it. The success of the annual event was never measured by the number of attendees, sold-out crowds were always a given, but by the number of injuries the enthusiastic crowd inflicted on one another. Hey Jack, we just started. That was the first line. You got here just in time. Tale of Sorcery is the third. Okay, yeah. So we'll go right into that after. Thankfully, the WizCon incidents were never malicious. The patrons simply buzzed with so much excitement that they became a danger to themselves and the others around them. So the more the event planners were confident that they had done their job. And as the early comers outside pressed their bodies against the glass door, rabid with anticipation, the convention staff knew that WizCon 2017 was about to break a new record. It's 12:01, a little boy dressed as a gray alien said. You were supposed to open at noon. Come on, we've been waiting for hours, oh, an old woman dressed as a headless Marie Antoinette said. Oh, that's terrible. Some of us have even been here since yesterday, said a very sleepy teenage girl from a group wearing dinosaur onesies. Why did I almost say unicorn? The convention center was surrounded with a massive gathering of historical figures, extinct specimens, and extraterrestrial creatures. It was an alarming sight to every passing observer, but it was much more innocent than the psychedelic cult it appeared to be. Is this really his memoir, or is this another book that I didn't know was a book? Am I crazy? This is a memoir, right? Or maybe it's not. Did we just fall into something that we don't know what? Okay, let's keep going. All these people were at WizCon because they... You guys, this is not a memoir. I thought this was a memoir. It's a novel. That's hilarious. Okay, well, do we want to keep going and read it, or do you want me to start The Tale of Witchcraft, which I also have downloaded on here if we want to read a little bit today, and we can read this another time? That's hilarious. I really thought this was his memoir, you guys. I'm loopy, apparently. Apparently I don't know how to read, which is really fun. We should probably keep reading A Tale of Witchcraft and then come back to this later, right? It's not like I'm not saying we shouldn't read this. We should read everything he ever writes because he's amazing. But we should read this later, right? I think. Yeah, okay. All right, well, you know, you live, you learn. And on that note, A Tale of Witchcraft, after I gave that giant diatribe about it. Okay, well, here we go. Yes, don't want to break up the series. Yeah, I didn't know. I apologize for my misstep. We all make mistakes, and here I am admitting mine openly. I really thought that was his... He needs to write a memoir. What a jerk. 4 friends, 1 celebrity, 1 unforgettable road trip. Well, I thought he was the celebrity. So, you know, anyway. And the Santa Clarita Convention Center is a real place. It's not that far from here. So, all right. Here's the prologue. I love that Renee is just done with me today. She's just laughing at her. She's like, I have made friends with the most dumb of ladies. Okay, so this is the picture for this one. Yeah. And this is the prologue. A righteous return. It began in the dead of the night while the world was asleep. As soon as all the street lamps faded and the lanterns dimmed through the southern kingdom, hundreds of men across the country, 333 to be exact, suddenly emerged from their homes at precisely the same moment. The peculiar activity hadn't been planned or rehearsed. The men never discussed it with one another or even knew the identities of their fellow participants. They were from different villages, different families, and different backgrounds, but the men were all secretly united by one malevolent cause. And tonight, after a long hiatus, that cause had finally called them to action. Each man stepped into the night wearing a pristine silver robe that practically glowed in the moonlight. Matching silver masks with 2 slits were draped over their heads to shield everything but their eyes, and the face of a ferocious white wolf was proudly displayed across each of their chests.
The ominous uniforms made the men seem more like ghosts than humans, and in many ways, they were ghosts. After all, it had been centuries since the Righteous Brotherhood's last appearance. Uh-oh. The men left their homes and journeyed into the darkness, all heading for the same location. They traveled entirely on foot and walked so softly that their footsteps didn't make a single sound. When their towns and villages were far behind them, and they were certain they hadn't been followed, the men lit torches to illuminate the road ahead. But they weren't on the paved roads for very long. Their destination was far beyond any beaten path. It wasn't on any surviving map. The Brotherhood hiked over grassy hills, stomped through muddy fields, and splashed across shallow streams as they trekked through uncharted territory. They had never been to their destination or seen it with their own eyes, but the directions were so ingrained in them that every tree and boulder that they passed felt familiar, like a memory. Some men traveled greater distances than others, some moved faster or more slowly, but at 2 hours past midnight, the first of the 333 travelers started to arrive, and the sight was exactly as they had expected. At the southernmost point of the southern kingdom, at the base of a rocky mountain bordering the South Sea, were the ancient ruins of a long-forgotten fortress. From afar, the fortress looked like the carcass of an enormous creature that had washed ashore. It had jagged stone walls that were horribly cracked and chipped. 5 crumbling towers stretched into the sky like the fingers of a skeletal hand, and the sharp rocks hung over the drawbridge like the teeth in the side of a giant mountain. That's facts, Jack. That's facts. The fortress hadn't been occupied by a single soul over 600 years. Even the seagulls avoided it as they hovered in the night breeze, but regardless of its eerie appearance, the fortress was sacred to the Righteous Brothers. It was the birthplace of their clan. Don't like that. A temple of their beliefs, and it had served as their headquarters during the days when they imposed their righteous philosophy upon the kingdom. There had come a time when the Brotherhood was so effective at enforcing the righteous philosophy that the base of their operations was no longer needed. So the Brotherhood boarded up their beloved fortress, hung up their uniforms, and retreated from sight. Over time, their existence became merely a rumor that became myth, and the myth was nearly forgotten. For centuries, generation after generation of the Brotherhood sat quietly on the sidelines and relished the profound ways their ancestors had shaped the Southern Kingdom, and by extension, the rest of the world. But the world was changing, and the Brotherhood's time of silence was over. Hey, Kristen. Earlier that day, a series of silver flags with the images of white wolves were placed throughout the towns and villages in the Southern Kingdom. The flags were subtle and hardly noticed by most citizens, but to these 333 men, the flags conveyed the unmistakable message: it was time for the Righteous Brotherhood to return. And so, later that night, once their wives and children were asleep, the men quietly retrieved their uniforms from their hiding places, wrapped their silver robes around their bodies, and draped the silver masks over their faces, and promptly left their homes for the fortress in the south. I gotta tell you guys something. If you have to hide your costume from your wives and children, it's probably not a good sign, you know? Like, maybe I'm crazy, but like, the only things that I hide from Secret Fiancé are presents, you know? Secret presents for like upcoming events. That's it. You hide chocolate from your children. Oh, well, Becca, that's different. Yeah, none of this is a good sign. We're all in trouble. And I'm gonna go out on a limb and say so are the children. Okay, but probably not a costume, Renee. Surprises are fine, secrets are not. Yes. You're probably not hiding like, this is my work uniform. Like, I think Oliver would be fine with that. You don't really have a work uniform, do you? You don't have that kind of job. Renee. Okay, well, I take it back. Sometimes chocolate from both. That's funny, Becca. The first arrivals took position on the drawbridge and guarded the entrance. As the other clansmen, there's that word again, trickled in, they lined up one by one and recited the ancient paraphrase before entering.
Nothing can flee the 333.
Once they were permitted inside, the Brotherhood gathered in a vast courtyard at the heart of the fortress. The men stood in complete silence as they waited for the rest of the clan to arrive. They watched one another with extreme curiosity. None of them had ever seen a fellow clansman before. The men wondered if they recognized any of the other eyes peering through the masks surrounding them, but they didn't dare to ask. The first rule of the Righteous Brotherhood was never to disclose your identity, especially not to one another. As they saw it, the key to a successful secret society was keeping everyone a secret. At 5 hours past midnight, all 333 members were finally present. A silver flag bearing the image of a white wolf was hoisted above the tallest tower to mark the Brotherhood's official return. Once the flag was raised, the High Commander of the clan revealed himself by placing a crown of sharp metal spikes on his head. The men bowed to their superior as he climbed to the top of the stone platform where all 332 pairs of eyes could see him.
Welcome, brothers, the High Commander said with open arms. 'Tis a glorious sight to see all of you gathered here tonight. Such a meeting has not been held in over 600 years.
I shouldn't do the Italian hands for this guy because he's bad and Italian hands are not.
And our forefathers,
I can't help myself. Oh my God, when I use that voice, the Italian hand just comes out.
our forefathers would be triumphant to know that the Brotherhood has survived the test of time. For generations, the principles and responsibilities of this Brotherhood have been passed down from father to eldest son in 333 of the Southern Kingdom's finest families. And on our father's deathbed, we each swore an oath to devote our entire existence, this lifetime and whatever lies beyond, to protecting and upholding our righteous philosophy.
That's amazing, Kristen. Yay. Well, Adriana, honey, if you don't like that we do voices for our reading, you don't have to stay, sweetheart. It's no worries. No worries. This isn't for you. It's for book club. The High Commander gestured a hand to the Brotherhood, and they passionately recited the righteous philosophy in perfect unison. Mankind was meant to rule, and men to rule mankind. You survived your first week as a boss. Congratulations, Brian. Hey, Tiff.
Indeed, the High Commander said, our philosophy is not just an opinion, it is the natural order. Mankind is the strongest and wisest species to ever grace this planet. We're meant to dominate, and our dominance is the key to survival itself. Without men like us, civilization would collapse, and the world would return to the chaos of primitive times. For thousands of years, this Brotherhood has battled the dark and unnatural forces that threaten the natural order, and our ancestors have worked tirelessly to ensure mankind's rightful supremacy. They destabilized the communities of trolls, goblins, elves, dwarves, and ogres so that those talking creatures could never organize an attack against us. They deprived women of education and opportunity to prevent the weaker, fill-in-the-blank word, from rising to power. And most important of all, our ancestors were the first to wage war against the blasphemy of magic and send its wicked practitioners into oblivion.
The clansmen raised their torches high above their heads and cheered for their ancestors' heroic deeds.
6 centuries ago, this Brotherhood accomplished its greatest feat yet,
the High Commander continued.
Our ancestors carried out a meticulous plan to put King Champion I on the throne of the Southern Kingdom, and then surrounded the young king with an advisory council of high justices who were right under the Brotherhood's control. Soon, the righteous philosophy became the foundation of the earth. Soon, the righteous philosophy became the foundation of the mightiest kingdom on earth. The talking creatures were ostracized, stripped of rights. Women were legally banned from reading books, and magic became a criminal offense, punishable by death. For 600 magnificent years, mankind ruled without opposition. With righteous philosophy safely secured, our brotherhood slowly faded into the shadows and enjoyed a prolonged period of rest. But nothing lasts forever. The brotherhood has been reassembled tonight because a new threat has emerged that was unimaginable until now, and we must eliminate it immediately.
The High Commander snapped his fingers, and 2 clansmen hurried out of the courtyard. They returned a moment later carrying a large painting and set it on the stone platform beside the superior. The painting was a portrait of a beautiful young woman with bright blue eyes and light brown hair. She wore sparkling clothing, and white flowers adorned her long braid. Although she had a kind smile that could warm the coldest of hearts, something about the young woman made the brotherhood uneasy.
But it's just a girl, the man in the back said. What's so threatening about that? That's not just any girl, said a man in the front. It's her, isn't it? That's the one people are calling Fairy Godmother. Make no mistake, my brothers, this young woman is dangerous, the High Commander warned. Underneath the flowers and this cheerful grin lies the greatest threat the righteous brotherhood has ever encountered. As we speak, this monster, this girl, is destroying everything our ancestors created.
A nervous murmuring swept throughout the courtyard, prompting another man to step forward and address the anxious clan.
I've learned a great deal about this fairy godmother, he announced. Her real name is Bristol Evergreen, and she's a criminal from Chariot Hills. Last year, she was arrested for female literacy and conjuring magic. She should have been executed for her crimes, but Bristol Evergreen was spared because of her father, Justice Evergreen. The justice used his connections to lessen her punishment, and instead of death, she was sentenced to hard labor at the Bootstrap Correctional Facility for troubled young women. But Bristol Evergreen was only there for a couple of weeks before she escaped. She fled to the southeast in between and joined a devilish coven of fairies. She's lived there ever since, developing her sinful abilities with other heathens like her. I'd say her abilities are more than developed now, the High Commander chimed in. Recently, Bristol Evergreen bewitched King Champion IV into amending the laws of the Southern Kingdom. The in-between was divided into territories so that the talking creatures and the fairies would have proper homes. Women were granted the permission to read and seek higher education. But worst of all, Bristol Evergreen orchestrated a worldwide legalization of magic. Virtually overnight, every trace of the righteous philosophy was stripped from the Southern Kingdom's constitution. But Bristol Evergreen's reign of terror doesn't end there, my brothers. She has since opened an atrocious school of magic in the fairy territory and invited all members of the magical community to move there and develop their unnatural abilities. When she's not teaching, Bristol Evergreen travels across the kingdoms with a crew of colorful degenerates known as the Fairy Council. They've captured the world's attention and affection, claiming to help and heal those in need. But our brotherhood will not be fooled. The magical community's objective is the same as it was 600 years ago, to brainwash the world with sorcery and enslave the human race.
The brotherhood roared so loudly that the ancient fortress shook.
High Commander, I fear that we might be too late, said a man in the crowd. Since the Fairy Council appeared, the public has grown fond of magic. I've overheard people discussing the surprising benefits that the legalization has caused. Apparently, illness and disease are on decline thanks to new potions and elixirs that are sold in apothecaries. They said that agriculture is thriving thanks to the spells protecting the crops from the frost and insects, and people are even crediting our growing economy to the popularity of enchanted products. Every man wants a self-driving carriage, every woman wants a self-sweeping broom, and every child wants a self-swinging swing set.
Okay, I'm sorry. We need to back up for a second. I don't want a self-swinging swing set. The swinging is the fun part. That was not a useful invention. No self-swinging swing sets here, please. It's literally useless. I don't want it. Not interested. Public opinion is starting to shift about other amendments too, said another man in the crowd. In fact, most of the Southern Kingdom actually likes the changes that King Champion has made to the Constitution. They say allowing women to read and pursue education has elevated discussions in our schools, causing the students of all genders to think outside the box. They say splitting the in-between into territories has made talking creatures more civilized, and now travel and trade between kingdoms is much safer than before. I would definitely take a self-brooming broom and self-mopping mop over, yeah. That's fair, Becca, but like, you know, the whole set, can't it just be one of the swings? All in all, people believe that the legalization of magic has sparked a new age of prosperity, and they wonder why it didn't happen sooner.
Their prosperity is a facade, the High Commander shouted. A hydrangea may be beautiful, its scent may be pleasurable, but it's still poisonous when ingested. If we don't restore the righteous philosophy, our world will begin to rot from the inside out. Too much diplomacy will make us weak. Too much equality will make us kill initiative. And too much magic will make us lazy and incompetent. The magical community will dominate us, and natural order will crumble, and absolute pandemonium will ensue.
But how do we restore the righteous philosophy? A clansman asked. King Champion is under Bristol Evergreen's influence, and we need the king to amend the laws.
Not necessarily, the High Commander scoffed. We need a king, not the king.
From the new creases in his mask, the Brotherhood could tell that their superior was smiling.
And now for the good news, the High Commander said. King Champion IV is 88 years old, and it won't be long until a new king sits on the throne of the Southern Kingdom. And as fate would have it, the next king is very sympathetic to our cause. He respects the natural order. He believes in the righteous philosophy, and like us, he's not been fooled by the Fairy Council's displays of compassion. The next king has agreed to abolish King Champion's amendments once, on the one condition that we appoint him as the new leader of our brotherhood and serve him as righteous king.
The clansmen couldn't contain their excitement. Until now, they would never have imagined a world in which the sovereign of the righteous brotherhood and the sovereign of the Southern Kingdom would be one and the same. If they proceeded wisely, such an outcome could solidify the religious philosophy for an entire generation or more to come. What about the magical community? A clansman asked. They're more powerful and popular than ever before. Surely they'll revolt against this new king or bewitch him just as easily as the old king?
Then we must terminate them before the next king takes the throne, the High Commander said.
But how? The clansman asked.
The same way our brotherhood nearly obliterated the magical community 600 years ago. And believe me, brothers, our ancestors were armed with much more than philosophy.
The High Commander climbed down from the stone platform and then hoisted the platform up like a gigantic hatch. To the brothers' surprise, what he exposed was a massive arsenal of cannons, swords, crossbows, spears, and chains. There were enough weapons to mobilize an army of 1,000 men, but these weapons were unlike any the clansmen had ever seen. Instead of being made from iron or steel, all the blades and arrowheads and chains and cannonballs were made from a red stone that glowed and flickered, as if it were fire trapped inside. The crimson light flooded the colorless courtyard and mesmerized the clansmen. Bye, Jen. See you later.
It's time for the righteous brotherhood to come out of the shadows, the High Commander declared. We must honor the oath we made to our fathers and strike before our enemies have the chance to prepare. Together with our new righteous king, we will preserve the natural order, restore our righteous philosophy, and exterminate the magical community once and for all.
The High Commander removed a loaded crossbow from the arsenal and fired 3 arrows at the portrait of Bristol Evergreen. 1 into her head and 2 into her heart.
And just like any colony of pests, first we must kill its queen.
Yeah, big dun dun dun. They're fighting compassion. They see no problem with this. Yeah, you know, as we know, I think this is a poignant, if not hurtful, read for this year because we're dealing with a lot of these people right now in our world. So, you know, they just don't get it. You know, it's hard. It's hard for them. Yeah. I don't know if any of you follow that teacher who corrects comments like in a joking way, but like people are scary. She's great, by the way. I was saying it's the last book how much philosophically is. Yeah, he's great. Chris is great. I like he has quickly become one of my favorite authors of all time. He will have me as a reader for the rest of his life. I will keep reading his books until we're both old and dead. Yeah, he has a new book coming out next week, Kristen. Yeah, it's the start of a whole new series, apparently. And he said it's the most fun one that he's ever written, apparently. So, yeah. He has so many books, and we're just going to keep reading them because we are obsessed with him. By we, I mean me. Yeah, he does a really good job with that. It's really made me think a lot about how I think I was telling you guys before about the fairy tale retelling that I have in my head that I want to write. It's not like this because it's not like a combination of a bunch of things. It's one fairy tale rewritten, but like he's made me rework what I kind of want to do with it a little bit in my head. I still have a very clear through line, but like how I do it, you know. I know, right? We have some, well, but now you see, you have to remember some of them are like the dictionaries and things like that for Land of Stories, which we've flipped through, and they're not really like stories. It's like, there's that one book that Liz got me for Christmas that we read through a little bit that's like a little more detail on each of the characters, you know, and it's cute. It's for kids though. So stuff like that, like we probably won't read those for book club because it's not that, we did it on like an in-between day one time, but it's just not, you know, it's not super, super interesting. Yeah. So like that stuff we don't need to read, but any of the novels I think we should definitely read. And if he ever comes out with a memoir, obviously we'll read that too, happily, anytime. You know. Excuse me. Okay, so I am gonna go because I need to get ready to go see Bluey with some kiddos, although it's a very gloomy day, which is not fun. Hopefully the sun comes out before the kids get here. But I will see you all later, maybe later today. I'm not sure. If not, definitely Monday morning for book club. And we will read more of this. And I'm taking all of the orders that I packed yesterday to the post office before we go to the Bluey house. And then I'll pack more this afternoon that will go on Monday. So if you placed an order in the pre-order, and then you had just pre-made stuff, it should be mailed out by Monday if it was just pre-made stuff. If it's pre-order stuff, that's another story, obviously. What's the Bluey house called? I thought it was just called the Bluey house. I'm not actually sure. My sister found it because they're her kids. I'm sorry, Priscilla. I'll let you know after I go. I'll take a picture. I don't really know. I thought it was just called the Bluey house. I really don't know. Okay, I'll see you guys later.